One of the components of anger, one of the thoughts that underlies anger that we mentioned, was the tendency to see the redundancy as monstrous, as terrible. Alan, whom I mentioned earlier, certainly held that view. And so what Alan and I did was to try and work through that thought. Right? So I asked Alan, just how monstrous is it? Just how terrible is it? Is it as bad, Alan, as being told you've got terminal cancer? And Alan said, well, no. Is it as bad as being told that your child has just died in a car accident? Alan said, no, it isn't as bad as that. So while undoubtedly being made redundant is unpleasant, even very unpleasant, it doesn't seem realistic to describe it as being monstrous or terrible. The other thing about seeing a situation like redundancy as monstrous or terrible, it's because we are tending to catastrophise. We're tending to imagine that the worst that could happen will happen, that we'll be destitute, that we'll be tossed out of our house, that our family will be living on the street. Now, if that's what we're thinking, it tends to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because when we go to interview, are we going to present, if that's what we're thinking, that the worst will happen, are we going to present as being very confident? Are we going to present Alan as being happy or optimistic? And Alan said no. And that's probably exactly what's happening at the interview for me, because I'm actually going in there not giving off a good vibe. And so I'm probably not tending to be successful at interview. So the very thoughts that was underlying partly his anger is precisely what was bringing about the outcome which he worst feared. So in summary, to see a situation as monstrous is both unrealistic and counterproductive.